Hello, and welcome to Visions of the Past, podcast dedicated to the lore of Assassin's Creed. My name is Andrew, and I'm glad to see that you have found your way here. And before we get into anything in note, I wanted to tell you my history with the series and why I wanted to talk about the lore within Assassin's Creed. 10 years ago, I received Assassin's Creed 2 for Christmas, and I dove in head first. I've been a fan of history for as long as I can remember, but this was the first game that I played that was not a first-person shooter that had any kind of story based on history. It really didn't hit me how much I enjoyed the game until I started doing the puzzles that were located inside the glyphs, and I really started to see just how deep this lore went. Not only were we shown the Italian Renaissance during the game, the glyphs gave us insight into World War II, the space race, and even the so-called War of the Currents. After seeing everything within the glyphs, I was hooked. I went back and played Assassin's Creed, and on every new release, I was playing on release day. I can remember renting Assassin's Creed Revelations when it first released, and I played it for 36 hours straight. First, I went to complete the story, and then I went to get as many achievements as I could with the time that I had. As for why I want to talk about lore, I noticed a while ago that lore was not just within the games. 2009, the lore started to branch out into comic books with the Les Deux Royaumes comics, and I am certain that I mispronounced that. French is not my first language. But this story, it contradicts some of the established lore, but everything that came after that first story either just expanded or it introduced new aspects to the lore that I knew so well. Also, within 2009, Oliver Bowden released the first novel. It retold the story of Assassin's Creed 2, and he would continue to retell and expand each game's story, while other novels were released that told new stories, along with, of course, the major motion picture that starred Michael Fassbender. I noticed while talking to my friends that were fans of the series that they rarely touched on the ancillary materials. They could tell me who Ezio and Edward were, but they couldn't tell me who Charlotte de la Cruz or Elijah was. Sometimes they'd be able to tell me about Aguilar or Callum Lynch, but rarely could they tell me that Callum was a descendant of Arno or that Elise had met Haytham's sister Jenny. It's these bits of lore that happened outside of the games that inspired me to do this podcast. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at visions_AC. Until next time, my assassin friends, make sure to follow the Creed, and to those Templars listening, may the Father of Understanding guide you.